G'day, I'm Waz.
And I'm Nic, sometimes Coxie, mostly Nic.
This is the Tradies in Business podcast, and we're here to share a bunch of tips, ideas, tactics that you can put in place to get change happening in your trade business right now.
If you're really lucky, we're going to entertain you with a few mum jokes, and more importantly, a bunch of fantastic guests that will educate you in all things you need to know about trade business. But we do promise to do it with a whole bunch of fun along the way.
I'm a self-confessed idiot, so strap yourself in and enjoy another episode. Hey, Nic.
Hello, Warwick. Hello, listeners.
Hello, listeners. Guess what?
What?
That sounds like the start of a joke.
It did sound like a start
knock,
of a
knock.
joke. That might be as far as the joke goes today, Warwick, because under pressure, I have failed.
Maybe you should have asked AI or ChatGPT to give you a joke, Nic.
I did ask AI to give me a joke, and then I asked them to tell me a better one, and then I asked them to tell me another, and then I went in and changed the prompt, and I'm still not getting anywhere today because it would seem that AI does not think it is very funny.
And that really is a segue into today's episode and today's guest, Donna McGeorge. Welcome back to the Tradies in Business podcast.
And Waz, good to be here.
Great to see you again, Donna.
Pleasure to have you here, Donna. More than 2 years since you were last on the podcast.
Is it that long? Oh my God. It just feels like only yesterday.
I know. We have that effect on people, Donna. Just like old friends.
Indeed.
Now, Donna, we're going to chat to you today, not about 25-minute meetings or getting a day of your life back. We're going to talk to you about, funnily enough, listeners, you'll be amazed to know that we're talking to Donna about AI. And Donna, you graciously attempted to rescue us from our lack of dad joke from AI at the start, but it really did highlight some of the challenges with the technology. And you had a very, funny for those people who have ever had a crack at getting something out of ChatGPT. What was the line you had? It's like,
there's a
something?
couple. So again, you got to remember, it's a computer. It probably doesn't get humor the way us humans get humor. But it's like, so again, trying to be helpful. So here I go, sounding like a stand-up. You know, writing this book is a lot like having a conversation with ChatGPT, sometimes insightful, sometimes surprising, but it always ends up with me wondering if I just spent an hour talking to myself. Now, I know that's funny, but if you don't know anything about ChatGPT or AI, you're like, there's nothing funny about that at all.
So, Donna, you wrote a book. Well, actually, you've written a whole bunch of books, but you wrote a book 12 months ago, actually.
Yes, actually, it was released about this time 12 months ago.
Yeah, about AI, well, about ChatGPT specifically, right? Yeah. And I reckon with the speed that things move in this space, that I'm not surprised that you're having to redo the book.
Yeah, my publisher came to me about a month or so ago, or probably a little bit more than that, about 6 weeks ago, and said, hey, we think there's room for you to do a second edition on this. Are you up for that? And I went, of course, I'm always up for something. I'm always up for a challenge. And they said, great, can you turn it around in 3 weeks? And I think, you know, they're taking the mickey a little bit, I think. I think as they know, in case any of the listeners are wondering, that because I can use ChatGPT pretty well. So I can use ChatGPT to write about ChatGPT and bang around, you know, turn around or bang out a new edition fairly quickly. So the good news is I did do that, and we're expecting that to hit the shelves very late August, early September.
2024, as you listen
Correct.
To this, listeners. So if you're going through the back catalogue in 2097, you've missed out. Probably won't be any
or maybe
books around by then.
you're up to the 10th edition by then.
Let's hope.
Donna, guess is, sorry, Warwick, if you started this 12 months ago, you wrote this book, which means there's quite some time to write it before then. You're quite an early adopter for this kind of tech.
I was a bit of an early adopter. So ChatGPT, you know, in terms of it being released to the general public, it had been around for a couple of years, but not available to just everyone. Mm-hmm. And so they announced that it was available towards the end of 2022, about December 2022. And so I saw it and people had started already talking about it. This is the new thing. It's going to help with productivity. I thought, being that I'm into productivity, I better go check this thing out. And so during my holidays in January, I set aside a couple of hours and just literally it said in my diary, check out ChatGPT. So I know this is kind of was a long answer to a pretty short question. And so I started playing around with it and I went, oh, shit, this is awesome. And so then I rang my sister who does similar work to me and I said, get on the phone. And so we were on the phone, like we're on the phone. And then I said, get onto this ChatGPT thing. So we're playing around with it together. She then goes to her people at work on the, whatever day it was, she went back to work and says, hey, check out this ChatGPT thing. And so they start mucking around. How'd you hear about this? Oh, my sister, Donna. Then someone who knew someone whose brother's sister's cousin, twice removed sister-in-law's brother, who's a journalist for one of the major newspapers, calls me out of the blue and says, hey, I hear you're an expert in ChatGPT.
Wow.
Well, I don't know about that. And he goes, well, you do an interview for us for the papers? And I'm like, sure, why not?
Yeah.
And so the topic was 5 things you can do with ChatGPT around the house. And so I then went and asked ChatGPT, what are 5 things you can help me with around the house? Told the journo I'd done that. That ends up in the papers on the weekend. They even send out a photographer. It was all very fancy. And then on the Monday, I get a call from my publisher saying, hey, do you want to write a book? So the reason I'm telling you that is I wasn't an expert when I started writing the book, but holy cow, I became one. And I kind of labor this point a little bit because if anyone's listening now that says, oh, I've got to know computers, I've got to know something, I've got to be a bit of an expert. No, you don't. You just got to be willing to get in and have a crack. It's not hard. Anyone can become an expert at this.
Great point. And I love someone who can take a short question and give a really long answer.
I can't. I love it when people say, Donna, can I just ask a quick question? Sure, but I can't guarantee a quick answer.
Because that's so my forte, Donna. So I feel like you're my people.
I think it's a great demonstration of just how versatile the tool can be if you know how to use it properly, Donna. So the point I'm trying to get to here is, yes, none of us know how to use it properly when we start, but we can learn how to use it. So can you talk to us a little bit about that learning cycle that goes with utilizing AI? Because none of it's somewhat intuitive, but not as intuitive as perhaps we would like it to be. As I demonstrated earlier, I went and asked it to write me a joke. It didn't necessarily hit the mark. I gave it some more prompts. Still didn't quite get where I wanted it to be, but that's the point. I think it's the continued prompts for change or for improvement on what you were originally looking for, and the clarity around that can impact the outcome.
So it's like anything, the quality of your prompt determines the quality of your output. And so maybe we could have said to it, give me 10 jokes. And so one of the mistakes most people make when they first get into it is they go into it with a Google mindset.
Yes.
And so the Google mindset, we're used to going to Google, putting in something and then having a million odd responses we have to go through. ChatGPT is literally like having a conversation with someone sitting right next to you. And so it will be literal. And so if we'd said to it, give me 10 dad jokes about, so I don't know what your jokes normally are. I'm assuming they're a bit corny or cheesy or a bit dad jokey. But right. And so if we said, give me 10 dad jokes that are similar to this, here's one I might have used earlier, give it a little bit more information. So I think of ChatGPT like an eager intern or an eager apprentice or an eager assistant that's dying to do an awesome job, like so eager, but sometimes has a hangover. So doesn't quite hit the mark the way we'd like. And so we have to check, we have to kind of give it better instructions, because if we give it poor instructions, it'll literally give us what we ask for. So better instructions, the better the prompts, that's the correct language, the better we get with this.
I think with new technologies, I was going to say, but this is really not that new. It's been around for a whole bunch of years. It's just become more well known, I think, and perhaps more widely dabbled with in the last 2 or 3 years. But with anything like this that's perceived as new, I think there's a lot of confusion and fear from people around how it can be used and perhaps what some of the risks are. And then I see the flip side of that is people start to use it for everything. It's like, oh, I'll use it to write my blog posts for my business, and then I'll get it to do my social media posts, and I'll have it write emails for me. And I'm starting to see content and copy out there in the world. It's like, oh, he could have at least changed a couple of words from the ChatGPT output, mate. Like, don't just copy and paste it. What's been some of the, obviously since your first edition of the book came out, Donna, there would have been a heck of a lot of change in the last 12 months. What's some of the changes perhaps you've seen in the marketplace with the way people are using it?
It's so funny because I can spot a ChatGPT written blog post, newsletter, comment, whatever, a mile away. So first of all, overuse of the word crucial. It's crucial. So if you say the word crucial, chances are ChatGPT wrote it. And the other one is it often, and I even saw this on a Harvard article. I was like, come on, I expect more from Harvard Business Review. So anything that starts with, in today's fast-paced world, right? So if you see in today's fast-paced world, it is crucial, then you know, absolutely know you've got a ChatGPT on your hands. So it is getting better. So in the past, it wouldn't remember who you are and what you've done and what you've written about over the course of several chats. Like it was like a brand new chat, bit like Google, brand new search. It doesn't remember what you've searched for before, so it doesn't enhance. So ChatGPT was a bit like that. So if you started a new chat, it was a brand new chat, no memory. So the new version now is learning about how I type, what I ask for, what are the things I've asked for in the past. So when we were playing around with the joke thing, I'd been talking to it about a potential podcast for myself. I'm thinking about starting a podcast and I'm thinking about calling it Cuppa and Catch Up. So I was asking it to help me write a bit of copy around what that might look like. So when it was answering me about the jokes, it was making reference to coffee and catch up stuff. So it's much better at learning stuff now, which makes it a bit easier and shortcuts it. But there's still, it's still a long way off being able to, just copy and paste straight across it. I say the best you can expect out of it is about 80% good enough. So I support, people who's not like if your primary business, and most of your listeners would fall into this category, copywriters or marketers or whatever, they have to do copywriting and marketing and sometimes write job descriptions and job ads and stuff like that. That's what you want to go use it for. Yep. Anytime you're sitting there thinking, I'm stuck, or a blank page, I don't know where to start, boom, there's your buddy right there. So I'd say, yes, there's a lot to be nervous about because it's new and it's different and we don't know how the stuff is used, or maybe, I don't know. I mean, I'm old enough, little old lady, I'm old enough to remember when everyone thought the internet was going to ruin the world, right? Put us out of our jobs and blah, blah, blah. So all the stuff I'm hearing about this now, it's the same sort of stuff I heard about the internet back then. But I'm going to say there's too much to gain by not using it. So give it a crack is my advice.
Donna, if we take this back a step, knowing that some of our listeners don't even know what we're talking about today, maybe you can take us through what is ChatGPT?
Oh, okay. It's what's called generative AI or generative artificial intelligence, meaning it generates stuff for you. And it generates, in this case, mostly written content, but it's now able to do pictures and stuff like that. So basically, you say, I need a funny joke, or I'm writing a blog about this, or here is my background. Can you generate 10 blog ideas for something, or newsletter ideas, and it will help you. The best way to think about it, that I think, is I want you to imagine that you've got at your fingertips a librarian that has read every published word in the history of time, like from right back when stuff was published. So books, articles, websites, it's trawled. They call it being trained. It's being trained on every written word bit of data ever created. And this librarian remembers it all. So when you say, how about this? It remembers. And I'm not going to get into the technicalities of how it pulls the data together. The only thing I'd say is sometimes it does something called hallucinating, which is the technical term for getting it completely wrong and just making shit up. So
it really does a good job of that.
Yeah, it does a really good job of that.
Okay, so then for those business owners that didn't even know it existed, and I think have to be pretty far removed, I think, not to know that at least it exists on the surface level. What sort of benefits are there, or what sort of things can we even do with something like ChatGPT for a business owner?
Yeah, so it's the stuff that was kind of mentioned earlier. So I use it for ideation.
Hmm.
So I'm sitting at my desk and I've got to do a proposal, or I've got to do a quote, or I've got to write an email, or I've got to do a blog post or a LinkedIn or social media post, and I'm just like, oh, I don't even know where to start. And I get my experience, I don't know whether this is true for others, but my experience is the more stuck I get, the more blank I get.
Hmm.
And the more blank I get, I just go around in circles going, I'm blank, I'm blank, I'm blank, I'm blank. And so so I go straight to ChatGPT and say, I got to do a blog post about blah, or I've got to do some kind of written content, whatever that is. Give me 10 ideas to get me started. And I always say, give me 10 ideas.
Yep.
Because I just think this is the real value of this, because I might get a combo, and I've done that heaps of times where I've got the 10 ideas and I take a little bit out of idea number 2 and a little bit out of idea number 7, and away I go.
Yep.
So anytime I'm doing written content, I think the kinds of jobs you have to do that you don't do very often. So I think job descriptions, job ads, they're off, hopefully you don't have to do them very often. And then when you do, you're like, oh, here I go again. I hate doing this sort of stuff. Doing policies, procedures. So I had to do a what do you call it? A tender.
Yep.
So I had to do a tender. And it got to the bit where it says, write about your anti-slavery policy. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, no, I don't have slaves. So I can't just write, I don't have any. That's my policy. I'm not intending to get any. Don't even buy anything, I think, that's been made by slaves, as far as I know. And then I thought, no, they're going to need, because it's a government tender, they need something way more posh and special. So I literally went to ChatGPT, or Charlie, as I sometimes call it, and said, can you please write me 3 paragraphs about an anti-slave policy for this kind of tender, for this kind of work, in this kind of context? And boom. And can I tell you, that was a straight copy and paste. I didn't even have to edit that sucker at all.
No.
So it's those kind of things where you're like, I'm a bit stuck.
Yep.
I did have someone say to me the other day, and I don't know how I feel about this one. They're in a big corporate. They're doing performance reviews. And they're just a bit stuck on how to phrase what they want to say. And so they went and got Charlie to help them with that. So anytime you're stuck.
I've seen some great results for some of our clients using ChatGPT to help formulate a response to a client.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
When you get those,
you got a grumpy client.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it helps keep them professional when they probably want to dip into the below the line stuff and have a go back. I've seen some really great results that you obviously have to tweak. And I think this is the most important point you've made so far, Donna. It's very rare that this can be copy and paste. It does need your own blend of personality. It needs some of your technical knowledge that ChatGPT can't necessarily generate in 2.4 seconds like it does for every joke that I ask for. It's going to take a little bit more work. It's not completely replacing what we currently do. It works particularly well as a prompt or an idea generator. Lots of our tradie wives use it for their weekly meal plans, and then they get a shopping list.
Haven't even started on that yet. And guess what? If they like that, they're going to love this. So there's now an app now on your phone. You can take a photo of the contents of your fridge and your pantry and then say, what meals could I do with this?
Whoa,
right? That's a game changer.
right.
Like an utter game changer. I was saying the other day, we had a power outage and we had to get the clock on our stove going again. And like, that's something you never do. I don't know how to do that. And so we took a photo of it and I just said, how do you get the clock going on this? And it gave me the instructions. Now, I could have Googled that and then trawled until I found the right one, or I could have gone to YouTube and maybe found a video. But in that moment, take the photo and it gave us step-by-step instructions. So you can even annotate a photo. So you can, take a photo of something a bit, I don't know, mechanical, like a bike or something, and say this part and circle the part on the bike that you on the photo and say, this part's missing. Where can I get another one? It's fascinating now what it can do now that it's got photograph capabilities.
It's changing so quickly, and I'm seeing it creep into the everyday use, particularly for trade business owners. If I think back to our audience, things like ServiceMate now have functionality whereby you can run something like an AI tool over your short response to a client or your email template or something that you're putting together, and it'll tidy it up and expand on it and make it sound more professional for you. There are a lot of really handy uses for those areas that we might not necessarily be super skilled in. And this is only the tip of the iceberg. We are still in the very, very early stages of what this is capable of or going to be capable of. I think it's quite endless.
There's literally a website now called There's an AI for that.com.
Wow.
And it has most of them that I've got. I mean, there's hundreds and thousands of different apps in there. Most of them are little versions of ChatGPT for our context.
Yep.
So what you just described is for the context of tradies doing quotes and needing to get that really professional schmick language happening. It's specifically for that. But there's all sorts now for, like, they've now made specific ones that are still using ChatGPT as the engine behind it. But it's kind of like they've done the prompts for you for travel or cooking or gardening or whatever, whatever your jam is.
It's amazing. What shouldn't we use it for, Donna?
I wouldn't put any personal information up there. I wouldn't be telling it anything that I wouldn't be happy to see on the front page of the Sydney Morning Herald or the Age or whatever your newspaper of choice is. I'm not sure how accurate it would be in, like, so for example, if I put PDFs of my books up there because I can then say to it, here's my book. That was a bit of a plug there, by the way. Here's my book. I can put a PDF of my book up, and then I can say to it, using the content in this book, create 52 different blog posts that are 2 or 3 paragraphs long.
Yep.
Now, someone said to me, aren't you worried that now it's got your ChatGPT's got your thing, anyone can just get your content for free? And I'm like, gee, if anyone manages to craft a prompt that results in word for word this book being able to be reproduced on their screen, they can have it. Right? Because what it does is it turns your content into confetti, and then the search engine, and the engine that it used then recreates the confetti based on what you've asked. So whilst I said it's a bit like a library, it's like, imagine all those books are shredded and confetti, and it just takes all the bits of it. So, but I still would be cautious because I don't know what the criminals are up to. Criminals are always up to some way of scamming us. So nothing financial, nothing personal, no passwords, the usual cyber care that you take with yourself. I'd apply the same things for ChatGPT.
Donna, why don't you think ChatGPT and AI in general is going to be like the internet or social media or the Y2K bug and actually ruin the world?
I think it's the future of the world. As you say, first of all, it's been around for ages. So anytime any of your listeners have gone, or any of you have gone to Amazon, and there's something that says something like, hey, you like books by Donna McGeorge, you might also like books by, and it that's AI and machine learning happening right there. So that's been happening for a long time. It's or as you say, already being integrated into apps. So it's in the Microsoft apps now. If you do it, most websites you go to now have an AI option. So it's now being absolutely integrated. I think, I often say there's several reasons why it's really easy to use. It's the take up of it's been extraordinary. It's out. The genie's out of the bottle now. I don't think we could ever put it back. But I think the biggest one is my 80-year-old dad. He's on it, and he loves it. He's a musician, and he's always on there looking for music or whatever. He's finding AI apps all the time that support him in his music. So if my 80-year-old pop can do it, then that's why I think it's here to stay. It's going to be as pervasive as our phones. Imagine a world now without smartphones, right? I can't, and so it's out.
Donna, if you had 1,000 trade business owners in a room, what's one piece of advice you'd like to leave them with about ChatGPT?
Have a crack. Just literally put aside some time. Maybe one night you can either do it on your phone, download the app to your phone, or sit on your laptop or computer or whatever you want to do. And think about, I think if I was trying to be super practical, I'd say think about a problem you got in your business right now and imagine you've got a business advisor sitting right next to you. So you could tell it to say, you literally can tell it to what identity you want. You are an advisor to, I don't want to put you two out of jobs. You are an advisor to small business, tradie kind of operations. Here's a problem that I have. Give me 3 or 4 suggestions on how I could overcome that, and just see what it says. Back to our original conversation around I couldn't find a joke. If you just walked up to a human, like if you'd just come to me, Nick, and said, "Hey, Donna, give us a joke about AI," I couldn't have done that.
Yeah.
I couldn't have just bang come up with a joke. And so lower your expectations because, it's not the be all and end all, but just have a crack with something.
Thanks.
Love
Great
it.
piece of advice.
Love it. I think I made that same mistake because of the hype around it. I incorrectly thought that this thing was just going to be able to almost read my mind and, answer every email in my inbox tomorrow, fix the website up, get me 1,000 customers in the next 5 minutes. And because of that, it was going to ruin the world because machines were going to take over. And next minute, I'm Keanu Reeves dodging bullets in the Matrix. If only. My back wouldn't handle that these days.
I don't know. You did a pretty good job at conference last year.
I think it was the 3 wines that helped me be that flexible. And I think that's one of the big mistakes that people make with it, and then they get disgruntled with it as they go, well, it didn't do this thing. It's like, well, just like you said, Donna, I'm terrible. I can't remember jokes when people are like, "Oh, what's a funny joke was that you've heard?" I'm like, I don't know. I've heard 73,000 of them, but I can't remember a single one right now because I didn't write them down. And I think once we learn how to use the technology, we can get better results and not be hasty and go, "Oh, I had a go at it and it was crap, so I'm not going to try it anymore."
Right. I think how many times have people given up on stuff?
Yeah.
You're trying something new. It's the first time you're doing it. Why would you give up after the first go? There's so much to be gained. What I'll do is I'll send you through and you can put it in the show notes. It's just a sheet that's got a whole bunch of different prompts for both home and work and different kinds of things you can do. And your listeners can download that. And at the very least, they can play around with these prompts and see just something to do with it so they can see the kind of results that they can get. If there are paid versions of it, you don't need that. Just stick with the free one. So that's another bit of advice I'd say to 1,000 people in a room. Just stick with the free one. You don't need to go fancy on that. But yeah, with Google, we didn't give up on Google the first time. We just changed the parameters of our search. So why would we do the same here?
Yeah,
why wouldn't
that's
we,
right.
beg your pardon, do the same here?
That's right. Love it. Well, Donna, I'm excited to see the updated version of the book. Did you get AI to rewrite the book for you?
Not completely. See, I think a lot of people imagine that I just sit here and farm my nails while ChatGPT is writing my book. Funny, quick story though. I was doing something at one point. I was asking it to generate 10 different versions of something that I was after. And it was taking quite a while to, it's pretty quick, but it was taking a while. And I literally had a hangnail. So I was filing my nail at one point, and my husband came in, he goes, "I knew it."
Proof.
Evidence.
Donna, if people want to grab a copy of the book or find out more about you and your nail filing prowess, where should they go to do that?
Easiest is just DonnaMcGeorge.com. That's where you'll find out all things me, my books, and everything else.
Look, if you get stuck, you can just go and ask ChatGPT. I'm pretty sure it'll direct.
Where do I find Donna McGeorge? Like, Donna McGeorge likes to file her nails. And
now I wish I hadn't said that. I'm actually going to go do that when we finish this. I'm going to see. Tell me what you know about Donna McGeorge and see what it says.
That'd be a scary exercise for some of us.
A bit like Googling yourself.
Need to go clean up the internet.
Wasn't that a thing back in the day?
Yeah, it still is.
Yeah.
I had a bumper sticker for years on my car. Sometimes when I'm alone, I like to Google myself.
There you go. Sometimes you need to just to check what people are seeing about you. So just saying.
I'm going to start writing the jokes for our podcast, Nick. I'm just super funny.
Oh, okay. Sure thing. And this is where I announce my retirement.
Donna, thanks for reappearing on the podcast. Sounds like you're a magician. You reappeared. Thanks for reappearing on the podcast. I'm excited to chat to you again about ChatGPT. That's a tongue twister.
Yeah.
And see what some of the updates have been. And listeners, definitely go and check out Donna's website, grab her book or books. She has written a lot and has some fantastic, actionable tips on just how to, I don't know, do life better, I guess. So thanks,
Thanks for
Donna.
having me. It was awesome.
Absolute
Thanks, Donna.
pleasure.